Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dusklight Communion, a little podcast where we talk about as much Grand Archive as we can feasibly fit into a reasonable amount of time. Uh, I'm Noah.
I'm
Uh, my partner here.
I'm Jacob.
And in this episode, we're talking about the recent events of Ascent Seattle. We got our
Yeah,
results in. That we saw how the meta shifted, and boy, did it!
yeah. First ascent of HVN. Technically not the first tournament. There was a regional in Taiwan like the day before, but we didn't really see the results until Seattle had started in full swing. So that didn't affect Seattle much. So
Decks were locked in by that point.
yeah. And honestly, you probably shouldn't make 2 a.m. changes to your deck the day before.
I almost did that in a tournament once.
Yeah.
Not for Grand Archive, but for Magic. I almost pivoted my entire deck because I thought it would be funny.
Hey, sometimes it works, but
Sometimes it does.
general suggestions don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
don't do that. A few of the decks we want to talk about today are the deck that won, some of the almost like weird dark horse decks, and other like budding archetypes.
Yeah.
Each of these is a prominent card from one of those archetypes. The first one, Burst Asunder, comes from the Champions deck, which was built around putting as many fractals into play as possible, then playing a Burst Asunder, asking your opponent, "Can you interact with this?" If they say no, they proceed to explode.
Death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out
Dawn of
Burst Asunder is
Ashes.
good.
Oh yeah, very good. Especially when it's a 2-cost card.
Yeah.
Dawn of Ashes is from a deck that was kind of a meta call and was meant to disrupt such things like the Fractal deck, which was primarily water cards with like a few norm cards. And we will get to that list, especially. I don't want to spoil too much because it's a read of a list.
Yeah, it's like the most list ever, honestly. Like it makes sense when you look at it, but like first explain it to someone, they're gonna give you a weird face. Like, what do you mean? We have like 20 fractals.
Yeah. Telling someone I'm main decking Disenchant tells you a lot.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, like one of them? No, four of them. And that,
Oh, for Dawn of Ashes, they main deck 8 disenchant effects
yes,
for that.
it's poof. And then Firebloom Flourish comes from a deck that Jacob and I, mostly Jacob, thought would be a very prominent deck. But there is a bit more of a twist than we thought it was with Diao Chan Burn. Uh, it went in a different direction than thought of. But still, the main archetype and the core aspects are there. And there are some other decks. These are representative of Guo Jia, Suzaku, and Guo Jia, not Byakko actually, but Seiryu, the Arcane Dragon.
Dragon go
Uh,
burr.
yeah, these are some other decks that were in the environment that were really cool, really interesting. And you'll notice that Ensnaring Fume's in the middle, which seems to hate on both Suzaku and Seiryu, which is correct. One of the other finalist was on Wind Luxem Zander, which was also a deck designed kind of to hate out newer archetypes, and it, seen as it made it to the finals,
It's
did
like
rather well.
it's like the if you took the concept of being a hater and made it a deck, that is Wind Luxem Xander.
Oh yeah, I think well that's just Xander as an entity, and Wind Luxem is just even more. It's
Yeah.
specialized hater energy.
Yeah, we'll get to that one, but
Yeah.
it's so annoying to play against. I played against it at locals.
Oh yeah,
It's
you're like I can never interact with your stuff because if I ever try to, it goes back to your hand because either
no.
you reclaim it or it's Sadie, and I just can't kill it.
And they have such a
Now all my
low
stuff is back in my
yeah,
hand.
they have such a low density of Luxem that like they're not killing you quickly if you can interact with their slice and dice.
No.
I milled myself out. They did not do any milling of me. I milled myself out with card draw from random effects in a water dragon list before he could kill me. It was rough.
God. The original control strategy of I don't have a win con. You're just gonna have to give up by before then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a deck of all time.
Yeah. We can get to our the first deck, Fractal Burst Thunder. To our champion, Team True. Is it Caven?
Yeah, Caven.
I'm Caven.
Yeah.
Team True Caven.
Yeah,
It
that's the
was a
display name, but that's a display name he chooses, but it's a true from True Team Gaming. Cabin.
Blue Team Gaming.
Yeah. I think the entire True Team was on Water Fractals. The entire main deck team was as well.
Damn.
So, yeah, Burst Asunder good.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about this deck?
Sure. So, Diao-chan, we all knew Diao-chan was good. Playing cards for free, quote unquote, out of memory. It just gives you so much leeway.
Yeah, from your memory, especially.
Yeah, and Burst Asunder was a deck last season. At the very tail end of last season in Melbourne, there was a Kongming Fractal deck that did what this deck does, where you just play a bunch of Fractals that are reservable, and eventually you use Refracting Missile and Burst Asunder to kill your opponent. Refracting Missile doing X+1, where X is the number of Fractals you control, and Burst Asunder effectively doing 2 + X, parentheses, times 2. So with 4 Fractals, if you're refracting them for 5, burst asunder them for 10, that kills someone who hasn't leveled up. It's very easy to do a lot of damage, especially with one of the new cards Diao-chan got, Shimmering Refraction, which does damage equal to the number of just Phantasias you control. So you have a little bit more leeway there with some weird Phantasia stuff. And if you played it from your memory, it replaces itself by drawing a card in a memory. So it's pretty
But
fun.
how are you going to play from your memory, Jacob?
Using Diao-chan to play stuff from your memory, and coincidentally, it also only costs 2 the amount of counters she enters with.
Interesting. It's almost like it was designed that way.
Yeah, so I mean, this deck's like, it's like 25 Fractals, so they're just hyper consistent, playing like...
The winning list was 26. It was almost 50% Fractals.
Oh my god, Caven, you madman. Yeah, so it's a lot of Fractals. They're gonna have like 5 by turn 2 or 3. Most of the time, seeing this list played myself. And Dissonant Fractal here on the right, I think is the most egregious one.
It's like absurd.
It's a 1 cost that as long as you have at least 2 other Phantasias, it becomes reservable. So it just like pays for itself, which is dumb. Because you're going to have 2 other Phantasias. That's the whole idea of the deck. And on enter, it glimpses 4. Setting up possibly the next 4 turns and knowing exactly what's coming is insanely powerful.
Yeah, looking at the top 4 cards being like, none of these are Burst Asunder, Refracting Missile, or Glimmering Refraction.
Yeah, or Shangjiao. We'll get
Or
to
Shimmering Refraction.
We'll get to Shangjiao next line. I think we put that as a sleeper pick. It apparently wasn't as sleeper as we thought. That card's insane.
Yep. I was thinking of it always through the lens of domains. I'm like, oh yeah, with the Eternal Kingdom, you're not going to have any cards you remember. You're just going to draw 2 cards. And then I totally forgot fractals were a thing.
Yeah, like I didn't even, my brain didn't even comprehend the idea of like, oh, if you just play like half your deck as reservable fractals, paying 0 memory or putting 0 in memory for a Shangjiao is like super consistent. It's like, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! I play Pot of Greed. And then that draws me Pot of Greed, and I play Pot of Greed.
And this Pot of Greed drew me Refracting Missile.
Yeah.
Take 7?
Yeah. So here's the cards we were just talking about. Refraction and Refracting Missile are just more ways to do a lot of damage, especially when you're doing damage in bursts of like 6 to 7. Burst Asunder becomes very easily viable. It's just finish you off no matter your health total. And then Shangjiao just keeps the gas coming. And sometimes you do just use Shangjiao to recover to give you time to then kill them anyways.
Absolutely. And one other like slight thing I want to note about Burst Asunder is the way that card works. Hi, Judge here. Is I play a Burst Asunder. At that moment that I have cast Burst Asunder, I ask you, do you have any effects before this card resolves? I do not have to decide. I am sacrificing Phantasias or Fractals until this card starts happening. If I say, okay, I want to hit you for 2, and I want to sack 4 Fractals. Congratulations, you're gonna take 10, unless you played something before I sacrificed them.
Yeah, it's a lot of mind games.
So there are times when you can run out a Burst Asunder that maybe you don't actually want to sack any of your Fractals, but you look at your opponent and say, I know you have a Veiling Breeze in hand. Now is the time to play it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I might just think, yeah, you know what? 10 damage is good enough. I may go down all of my influence and way to play cards, but now you're almost a corpse.
No, it's
Um,
good. It's good. It's
oh, yeah, very
consistent.
good card.
It's easy, quote unquote. I mean, the skill ceiling's pretty high. There's a lot of minute
Mhm.
decisions. You kind of can just pick up this deck, take it to locals, and do pretty well. But there's a lot of little decision makes here and there that can really separate you from like doing really well and doing like medium.
I will say, by the way, other than Zhang Zhao, which yes, she has climbed up to
Oh
like
god, yeah,
$40 a
she's like
piece.
40
Uh,
now.
if you go over to the list,
Yeah,
next slide.
here's a list.
If you really look at the rest of this deck,
It's dirt.
it's pretty cheap.
It's like dirt cheap. Almost all the Fantasias are like uncommons, commons. I think Fractal Rain's
Yeah.
up to like $5 or something crazy like
Uh,
that.
like it's legitimately you sub out Zhang Zhao for like something else, maybe like a higher. Maybe you want 30 fractals. You know what? You're really feeling. You want the 30. You want the, fractal
Yeah.
27 through 30. You can do that.
Although some of these
And
do
especially on a
come
budget.
from the Rico deck specifically.
Yeah.
Fractal of Refreshment, Glimmering Refusal, and I think it's
Can
just
we
those two.
talk about Glimmer and
Yeah, well,
Refusal? I didn't even put
let's
it
talk
up
about
here.
Glimmering Refusal. So Frostbind, we all know Frostbind. We love Frostbind.
Much, yeah.
2 cost negate the thing unless they pay 2. Wonderful, good standard.
And banish it.
Glimmering Refusal is dumb. It's a 2 cost, so same cost as Frostbind. Negate target card activation, unless they pay X, where X is the number of Fantasias you control. You consistently have 3 to 5 of these by like turn 2 or 3. So you now have super Frostbind.
And you know what's even better, Jacob, about Glimmer and Refusal?
You can play it from
What?
memory.
Play it from memory. Look in your opponent, and they're like cards in hand. You're like, none. I have 2 in memory. Your opponent's like, oh, perfect. I can go for this. No, they can't.
No, the first time it
You're like,
happens to you, you'll be scared for a while.
you're like, do you have glimmer counters? Like, no, but I have this staff that's ready to untap Diao. Put
Yeah.
2 counters on it, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah, I think we talked about Scepter Fascination in regards to Fire Diao last time, but it's also really good here. One memory cost, on enter draw a card regalia item. You can banish it, wake up your champion, and give her 2 glimmer counters, Diao bonus. So it's just an
Especially
on-command
good
way to just do stuff.
in this deck because she doesn't, or Caben didn't run level 2.
Oh, yeah.
So once he popped the first card from his memory, he didn't have another way to put counters on her except for the Scepter Fascination.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing,
So,
right? Do you
you
need to
don't
do
need more than
multiple?
no, you don't. That's why this deck was so ruthless. Is
Yeah.
you think like, oh well, you don't have the staying power. Staying power? I'm hitting my opponent for 7 at a time.
Yeah.
What is staying power? My opponent's having a hard time staying alive.
Nah, it's you. In a normal game, you will only need 1 to 2 activations. In games that go longer, where it's more like coming down to the wire skill intensive, it's top deck and pray. But that's what like Fractal of Insight and Dissonant Fractal are for, just ways to glimpse, find your answers.
And Fractal Refreshment too. You're like, oh, I have these 2 fractals of whatever that I don't need anymore. Anyway, I want to put these in the bottom of my deck. Oh, hey, look, 2 copies of
Yeah.
Burst Asunder. Sick.
And Fast Cure is a little weird in here. I mean, it's good because like you're playing all these fractals and you're going down in hand influence. So Fast Cure is like will generally heal you for. There was a match on stream where it was, I think it was Caben, going against a Fire Zander aggro deck. And he played a Fast Cure at 2 influence against the Fire aggro's 3 influence. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, we're here.
It's like, wow, we're here, we're healing, I guess.
Yeah. I will say I love the one of extricating touch. We talked about that last time. The choose
Sometimes
hand or
you gotta run
memory.
Thoughtseize.
Yeah, choose hand or memory. They reveal that thing. You choose a card and discard it. One of's just like really funny.
Because what's your opponent gonna do? Play around it?
Yeah, like I've been playing Fire Dragon, these past few locals this week, and or did I say Fire? Water Dragon.
Yeah, I was say, wow, you really pivoted the elements on the track.
Water Dragon, and it's a list from someone who did day 2, second to all. We've been talking about the list since he day 2'd. and it's got 4 of Extricating Touch, and it's so funny to just turn 1, like going second, like, nice setup you did, Extricating Touch. And watching their gears turn of like, do I play this thing in my hand to like try and bait them into choosing the other thing? And then it resolves. You say, okay, let's see your memory. Let's pick something. And then playing a second one and saying hand, it's so demoralizing.
Your opponent's like,
yeah.
well, it didn't matter, did it?
Yeah, it's like, it's maybe the most serotonin I've ever had in a card game.
Yeah. But this list,
Yeah,
very
that's
good.
it.
You can definitely build it super budget.
Oh yeah, if you replace the Shangjiaos with something,
Obviously, like backup, Grand
Mana
Crusader's
Resonance.
Okay, so hear me out. I don't actually think that's that bad of an idea.
No, it's not bad. It's just not as consistent as Shangjiao, which is the idea.
Well, how often is your opponent going to cast a spell? All the time.
Yeah, Mana Resonance, for reference, is a 5-cost fast water spell that cost X less, where X is the reserve cost of a spell your opponent is attempting to play. So if they play a Zephyr, Mana Resonance costs 3 instead of 5. It draws you a card, and if nothing was put into your memory to pay for Mana Resonance, you instead draw 2 cards. So if you have 5 Fractals, it's Shangjiao.
I don't know if you said this. It is a cleric spell bonus.
Oh, a cleric spell bonus.
You can theoretically, if you're like an assassin or something, and you have 5 Fractals,
you, I guess, could, yeah.
You could draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
How far are you willing to go to draw 2 cards? They're both into hand.
Yeah. This deck's not without faults, of course. It I don't want to say folds, but it suffers to early game Fantasia removal, not in the sense of like shutting them down, but in the sense of ruining their tempo a bit, especially if you can do 2 Fantasia removals.
They also really don't like. You'll notice they have Zhang Jiao, and was he even on Frostborn Paladin? He wasn't.
In the sideboard, there's 2.
No, but other than that, he has Awakened Beacons,
Yeah.
and that's it for allies.
Yeah.
And so if you kind of flood the board, he really didn't want to have to throw his burn spells anywhere but your face.
Yeah, allies is a pretty good counter for this deck. I mean, allies in control is a pretty good, like, you have more decent matchups. Things that go fast and things that can stop you from dying. But this meta at this Ascent was very much a lot of things in the middle, where it's like other Fantasia decks, or some more
just slightly slower.
Yeah, or some other like combo-y decks. It was good. It was a good meta call. This deck was very good into what was happening at the time. I think the next major tournament is, I guess the next major one is the Yeti Regional on March 30th, which I think I'll be playing in. I'm not really sure yet.
Be there, be square.
Yeah.
Come kick this guy's ass. On camera.
I will definitely see it there. I think this was like, Diao was 40% of the day 1 meta between fire and water. And I think water, Diao herself, was like 40% of the day 2 meta. So very prominent. But I think people are going to now respect it and play some more strategies that are a little bit more a bit of a counter to it. So it'll be Yeti's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what decks do well after the heels of this. I pray for less assassin decks because they make me cry.
I think it's really funny. Every so often, one of my OG deck catches a stray of, I love Vanitas, like Razor Gale was like really cool, I love that as an idea, and every time a Fantasia deck gets more popular, people are like, well, now I gotta start main decking like Fantasia hate. I'm like, no, please, I can't do much if you blow that thing up.
Yeah, if you watched last episode, you know I was very excited for Fire Diao, and Fire Diao burn did do well. The ones that did well were a lot more mid-rangey than the aggro variant that my team was more speccing into. And the amount of Fantasia hate that was present, and that will probably be present going forward, hurts the deck a lot. Because Fire Bloom Flourish is very key for the deck, and if they can blow it up like twice, you just kind of cry a little.
Yeah. You're like, oh, cool, my plan is gone.
Yeah.
My way to recoup cards, no.
No. Yeah. What are we next? Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So,
counter to Fractal deck.
yeah, consider the following. You built your deck, much like Jacob, with a heavy emphasis on fractals and being able to kind of like burst out your opponent, and you're really hoping to get them. Now, what if this twink of a man said, "Nuh-uh, uh, congratulations, you have envisioned Zander."
Yeah, Zander
Blinding
is...
steel.
So, obviously, we know Xander's good. Xander's been around for a while.
Oh, my
And
boy.
there's been Wind Luxem list in the meta. I think there's a few at Melbourne. I think there's one even on camera. But they're very geared towards like using card advantage with like Windmill and Surveil the Winds early on, and then kind of get into 3 rather quickly. EMP decided, what if I just built a deck that counters everything I know is gonna be there?
I'll get to level 3 eventually.
Yeah, like on camera, if you watched Seattle, or you go back and watch the VODs where EMP was playing, he rarely goes to 3 quickly. He sits on 1 and 2 for a while, just building advantage, and he's using Ensnaring Fumes to bounce your board and bounce his stuff back for more stuff with Windmill Engineer and Mystic Purifiers. He has, I think,
How many times did he go to level 2 to pick up a Surveil the Winds? Because was it every time? Because it felt like every time.
I think it was every time. He just wants the
Like,
prep. Because he uses the prep
Yeah.
for it's his main kill condition is Slice and Dice. He does play 4 Light Weaver's Assault and 3 Luxem sites, but his main kill condition is Slice and Dice. Let's not pretend it's anything else.
Sorry, is 15 damage not good enough for
Yeah.
you?
So you need 4 prep for that combo with Assassin's Ripper and Slice and Dice to do 15 damage, but you also need prep for Ensnaring Fumes. So,
And this card.
yeah,
Oh.
Ensnaring Fumes.
It's floating memory too?
It is
Like,
floating. It's a 5 cost win fast assassin skill.
5 cost.
Yeah, it's 5 cost. Well, 5 cost, quote unquote.
Well, 5 cost.
It returns all allies to the owner's hands, but you can instead pay its cost by removing 3 prep counters. So in combination with Sadie giving you agility 3, it's very easy to just always hold this up. And this kind of hard counters the Guo Jia decks that want to flip their guy and stay there a while. Because if you return the flipped Shenju to its owner's hand, it goes back to the material deck, and it's very hard to get it back.
But I think you mean how those decks are built. Impossible.
Not fully impossible.
If it's Seiryu, it is.
Not quite. So, tech. If you've lineage released 2, and you innervate from 3 down to 1, and then innervate again from 1 down to 0, you can go back to level 1 and get the Fate Stone back out.
Jacob,
It happened. I
to...
watched my friend do it. It is a real line that you can take that requires your opponent to brick in like 5 turns in a row, but it does work.
Yeah, okay, cool. So it's not a real strategy.
It's real in magical Christmas land.
Okay. So other attack of Ensnaring Fumes and cool things you can do, and the reason why this card's awesome is, yeah, you can bounce their Shenju, you can bounce any like annoying board threats they have and force them to reinvest that resource. But let's consider what you're bouncing back to your hand. Sadie, she does that on her own. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
Mystic Purifier. Oh, was your opponent a Fractal deck? That's really unfortunate for them. Windmill Engineer. Yeah, deal. Great, I get to draw another card. Dungeon Guide. Weird edge case, but can matter.
It can matter.
Of if you dungeon to level 2, and then you're like, I'll just do it to level 3.
Yeah.
That doesn't come up super often. Sirocco Operative. Remember that one? It's Windmill Engineer at home.
Yeah.
Except sometimes it puts a prep counter on you.
I think that's all of it,
And
right?
then, was he on Fairy?
I'm looking at the list right now. No Dream Fairy.
No Dream Fairy, but
you don't need Dream Fairy if you have Ensnaring Fumes.
no, honestly, you don't.
Yeah.
But just, there's so many things, all of the things you can bounce back to your hand, you're just like, yeah, deal, I want to do that. And then, again, I can't believe this, on top of all that, it's floating memory.
It is just floating memory. And you can grab it back.
You do this at the end of your opponent's turn, go to level 2, pick up your Surveil the Winds, pre-rec, you play your Surveil the Winds, you re-unload all of your units again, and your opponent's like, he's drowning me in value.
Yeah. Something wild I saw him do is he played a Mystic Purifier, and then with the ability on the stack, you removed 3 prep counters for Ensnaring Fumes to use the picked up allies to play your Purifier.
Itself. Oh, God.
No, it's kind of nasty.
That's so nice. He's nice with it.
He is kind of nice with it. It's kind of nasty. I kind of love it.
Oh God. Uh, yeah, we can go actually show them the list now.
Yeah.
Some other like neat things about the list that were like, kind of. I would like to point your attention, please, if you're a viewer, to 4 Scatter Essence main.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a wind deck in this meta, I don't think there's really a reason not to.
And then there is one the 1 point against EMP. Great player. It was really fun to watch him play. The deck was really cool. Why is there 61 cards main?
Hey, look, hey, he got second with the 61 card special. Now,
I know.
You could argue that maybe the reason he got second is because
no, you can. No, you can't. No, you shouldn't.
Okay, in that last game, apparently he looked through, like he glimpsed and drew through the top half of his deck and did not find a single piece of Fantasia removal.
Yeah,
which is kind of wild.
Well, maybe he could have been at 60.
Maybe he could have found it at 60. Maybe he was just one more down. 99% of glimpsers.
Turbocharge really. It gets me. He's 61 cards with 3 turbocharges.
Hey,
why?
He's always gonna +1.
No, but why?
I respect that. I respect it. You know.
Like, I get it.
I mean, like, if I were to cut, I don't know what I cut, because, like, I do agree with the.
I would cut a turbocharge.
No, he's got enough glimpse stuff, right? He plays Fairy Whispers, right? Yeah,
which means you can find one of the 2.
Yeah, but like, what if you always had one?
Jacob.
Yeah, there's a guy in the community, Neutral End /Amphi. He gave a pretty good way of like figuring out like how much the numbers of each card you want, and I think if I'm remembering right, 3 was like a card you always want to see at least one of during a game. Or no, 4. Yeah, like you want to see one during the duration of a game. 4 is you want to always have this and probably in multiples.
My logic is, if there is ever a point where you draw one and you didn't need it, that's bad.
Yeah, but he's drawn so many cards and seen so many cards.
I know, but
it's
like,
kind of wild how many cards he sees.
Oh no, it's between Fairy Whispers, reclaiming back some of your stuff. You have 2 Scout the Land. Your Sirocco Operators draw you a card. Your Surveil the Winds draw you a card. Yes, your Turbocharge does draw you a card. Your Windmill Engineers draw you a card. You have all of the normal material deck stuff that draws you cards.
Yeah,
like it. You see him. Scout the Land. I love Scout the Land. It feels like Brainstorm. For those that play Magic, you know what I mean. Brainstorm is you draw 3 cards for 1 mana, but you put 2 cards back on top of your deck. Which means, yeah, you saw cards, but you realistically only... You didn't go up resources. You gained information. And ways to get around that are you shuffle your deck. There aren't a lot of those effects in Grand Archive, so sometimes you scout the land, you look at the top 4 cards, and you're like, oh no, that's not good.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, I might be screwed. I may have just lost the game. Because you look at your hand, you look at what's on top, you're like, a Fairy Whispers isn't in here. And if I have to draw these next 4 cards, I'm going to die. But yeah, as for sideboard, the normal Art of War in the board, I don't know how often that one actually came up. I like Art of War in his deck, because if you're running Ensnaring Fumes, Art of War is absurd.
This is true, but Art of War also hurts the deck because of Sadie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
like, there is a downside inherently.
Yeah,
but...
I watched it on Wednesday, yesterday. We're recording on a Thursday. It get played against this type of deck. My friend picked up this deck for the week. And it, like, just ruined his game plan against Rye for a solid 2 turns. He still won, because, let's be honest, Rye's not the best at the moment. But it delayed the inevitable.
Yeah. Fun fact, this is more of a personal story for Jacob. I had to explain to Dion, one of our friends, that Art of War was a divine relic.
Oh, was he playing?
He did not know that.
Oh, I feel like I had this conversation with him too.
Nothing came up of it. Like, just like I was talking, and I was like, "Do you see?" He had made the Art of War in game 2. I was like, oh, I guess it's really good against me. Do you just run? I was like, oh, do you run it in the board that way? Like, you just swap it out with GCR? He goes, what? And I'm like, well, yeah, because, you know, like, there's no point in having both of them in your material deck. And he goes, why? And I'm like, because they're both divine relics, so it doesn't. It's not helpful.
Well, you
He goes,
can't.
what?
You can't play both in your material deck at the same
He
time.
looks and goes, huh? And I'm like, Dion? He goes, yes. I'm like, do you have both of those in your material deck? He goes, he just takes one out, like puts it back in his box, goes, nope. And I'm like,
This
right,
definitely happened.
noted,
I
yeah.
don't remember when it was. I think it was last week. It wasn't in like an actual that we were just like play testing, and he played GCR and then like a turn before, and then went to play Art of War, and I was like, wait a second, something's not right here.
Neuron activated.
And we just kind of sat there for a second. I'm like, wait a second. I forgot
Right.
what I think we just made it backup charger, but
Wait, backup charger wasn't in there?
it was some. We were just testing some weird builds out.
Yeah, yeah.
It was funny.
What about these 3 turbochargers I have, Jacob?
Oh shit, my bad. This deck's interesting. It's very much this deck's very much a medical.
If Sadies weren't $1 jillion, I
Yeah.
would build this deck immediately.
This Ascent has been so like damaging to the Grand Archive economy. So many cards have just skyrocketed. Sadie's like $80 on TCG Player, which is like yeah, it's like wild. A couple cards from HVN went from like I don't know, like 10, 20 bucks now to like 30, 40 bucks. Shang Zhao went up to 40, 45. Zhu Cheng went from like $6 to like 30 bucks.
On the next slide, which we don't have to go to now, has has one of my favorite price increases on it.
God, but yeah, there's just been so many. It's just like, dude. One of the worst things about Grand Archive right now is the super volatile economy.
It happens with any like smaller / newer card game.
It just feels really bad seeing Sadie jump from like 40 bucks to like
Which
80.
set was she in again?
Mercurial Heart.
Wasn't that set getting a reprint?
MRC Altar is right around the corner.
So like,
however, ALC
yeah.
Altar just happened.
Yeah.
And it did drop a lot of prices. A lot of those prices have instantly skyrocketed back up. Rococo, before ALC Ultra was like 20 bucks a piece. ALC Ultra sent her down to like 8, and now she's like 30 again. Because people saw FISA on stream and they're like, whoa, I guess Rococo is a good card.
I love every time someone watches Burn or any of its variants be played, they're like, it's the best deck, how could it lose? Yeah. And then they try to pilot Burn with no experience. They're like, it's weird, I just keep losing. It's like, yeah, it may surprise you to realize there's nuance to throwing damage at your opponent.
Yeah, FISA is like really difficult to play.
Yeah, like, when do you fire it off? When are you allowed to invest your resources? Are you going to die if you go for it this turn?
Before this Ascent, I felt like FISA was a very good entry-level deck because it wasn't too expensive besides like Backup Charger GCR and Arthur. It was a pretty cheap option.
Vermilion Decree wasn't cheap either.
Vermilion Decree was like $10 before all the hype. Before Suzaku got spoiled. Vermilion Decree was like $10.
Well, that was...
Yeah. I guess last season, in the AMB season, FISA was a very nice entry-level option if you had like $300, $400 laying around, which the price of most Grand Archive decks is like $500, $600 at the moment. So if you're like buying from scrap.
Out of curiosity, Jacob.
Yeah.
How much do you think Vermilion Decree is right now?
Isn't it like $25?
It is the cheapest you can get right now is $28 with $1 shipping.
It went up again. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I would love to show you this graph.
Oh no, I've seen these graphs, dude. These graphs make me sad. But FISA's like, I think FISA's like $600-$700 right now. I'm gonna do some quick math on my calculator. Arthur, I think is like, if you could search up Arthur for me, I'm gonna add the prices that I know.
Yeah, sure.
I know Rococo's like that.
Arthur Young Heir.
Yeah.
He is 36 or 32.
32?
If you want the Dawn of... hold on. Oh, let me check.
Oh, okay. We're going cheapest prices here. We're gonna go DOA Altar.
No, that's 32. If you look at how there's only 2.
Oh my god.
Because there's only 2 listings.
Oh, that's the worst. I know that card's like 12
But Jake, if you want the Dawn of Ashes event pack, Arthur,
the CSR,
it's a measly $900.
Yes, my apologies. I forgot.
Hey, this one guy has 2 of them.
my quick math based off the cards I know about off the top of my head is 550, and that's maybe a third of the deck. A lot of the deck is bulk, but like a
Oh,
lot of the core of the deck is really expensive now.
it's funny. There's two things now that I'm looking at this Win Luxem Zander deck is, yeah, I complained about Sadie. Take that out and then tell me what the price of this deck
Yeah, I
is.
think Lightweaver's Assault went up because of this deck.
Maybe.
I
But even then,
heard
like,
$18 on the grapevine.
I'm seeing like, yeah, 19-ish, 20-ish.
Yeah. Whew, jeez. That's I'm used to that card being like $10.
I bought mine for like 8, and I was like, oh, I don't want to have to do this because Xander was one of my intro decks
Yeah.
because most of Xander, other than the dungeon guides, crazy cheap. Thieving Cut, not expensive. Creative Shock, not expensive. Reprogram, not expensive.
Yeah,
One of the other things was Excalibur. Which, by the way, this I want to talk about. This Win Xander list doesn't run any copies of.
And that is a downside because in decks that have like a longer staying power, Excalibur,
Vindicate good.
not having Excalibur hurts. You feel it.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know what Excalibur is, it is 2-cost Luxem, destroy target non-champion object.
And then it's got a wall of text for warrior class bonus.
Yeah, ignore that part.
Ignore that part because the only one who can use it is Trisket, and Trisket is bad. I'm sorry, Trisket enjoyers.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. It's bad.
Yeah, but Excalibur is just 2-cost fast, blow up whatever you want.
Yeah, that's good.
And just, it turns out being able to remove anything from the battlefield at instant speed, like at fast speed, very good.
Yeah.
And now, granted, it is a spell; it does not kill the Shenjus, but still, like,
it's good. It's
very good card. Blowing up your opponent's prized equipment.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's go next one. That's right.
Speaking of cards that have increased in price, Jacob, what was the running cost of Dawn of Ashes, a week ago?
I picked up my Dawn of Ashes a few months back for maybe 50 cents a piece.
I was in a similar boat. Jacob, you have TCG open.
I do.
Or I do, at least. I'll do it.
Also do.
What is the price of Dawn of Ashes now?
I heard it was like $15. It's... Okay, the one problem I have with Grand Archive on a real level, searching up the card names that share a name with the set is so annoying. I search Dawn of Ashes and I get the Dawn of Ashes set. It's like, oh, duh. That makes more sense.
$14 with $1 shipping. This
wild.
card, you want to talk about sleepers? Dawn of Ashes.
Yeah.
I have played this card against people when I was playing Domains, a very meme deck, but it makes people question why they're friends with you.
No,
because
it's rude.
Yeah, because you play this, and I was playing against, I believe it was Wind Astra Erison.
Oh, yeah.
Looking them in the eye and saying, you know how your star calling 0? It's actually 1 now.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, that's annoying,
Your
but
3
fine.
visits are 1.
Oh, the 3 visits being 1.
Yeah.
Tilted that man into the sun.
Oh, it's so funny.
Every time he starts to pay a card, then goes, wait, no, picks his cards back up. He's like, I can't actually do both of these things.
Yeah. A lot of these good decks right now run on very thin margins in terms of resources they're playing with, and saying, hey, all your things cost 1 more that are not norm. It's kind of backbreaking to some of these decks.
Yeah, running against fractals, causing them to take 2 extra turns to develop. Because normally they're like, oh, I can vomit out 3 fractals a turn. You're like, you get 1, maybe 2 now.
Yeah.
They look at that and go, oh no.
And in addition to that, one of the cards from HVN that was I think $5 before this Ascent. Now it's 30. Zhu Cheng, Frozen Citadel. It's one of the siegeable domains, so it can be attacked. It's got 4 health. It's a 3 cost, and at the beginning of each opponent's recollection phase, that player may banish a card with a floating memory from their graveyard. If they don't, the next card they activate this turn costs 2 more.
Note, at the beginning of each opponent's recollection.
Oh, did I say person? I'm sorry.
I think player. This is not symmetrical.
It's not symmetrical. It's opponent. I will say, the player controlling the domain has to declare the trigger is going on the stack at the start of the opponent's turn. If you don't, it can be a missed trigger, and the judges will be a little weird with that one.
Even funnier, by the way, if we are playing and I go first and I play a Zhu Chang, you don't have to care about it your first turn of the game because you skipped your recollection.
Yeah. Yeah, this
So
card's good.
this does do. Oh, this card's still absurd. If you have both of these in play and your opponent's first card costing 3 more return, it just kills Faiza sometimes.
Yeah, it's wild. So Henki the goat, we love him. He played this. I think he was like the only one in the tournament who brought this. And I think he mentioned in one of the chats that he literally brewed it on like Wednesday night and was like, yeah, I didn't test this. Let's just hope it's good enough. But that's why he's the GOAT. If he didn't tie the last round, he would have been in top 8. I won't add any comments on that because if you were watching the stream at the time, the chat got a little heated. I think some people got banned.
It's please, folks. Again, remember at the end of the day, this is a game.
Yep.
We are doing this to have fun.
It's a game.
Things happen.
Like, yes, a couple $1,000 spirits on the line, but like you're not the one playing. Don't get too heated for them. But the idea of his deck was Dawn of Ashes and Zhu Chang, and I think he also had Nia in there. Name a card plus one more. And I think that's the only water cards he has. So Dawn of Ashes is very safe, trying to reveal a norm card.
Move to the list. We can just look.
Yeah, he's got 2 Nias, 4 Zhu Changs, and 4 Dawn of Ashes. And like the rest of his deck is Fantasia Hate,
and 2/3s.
Semi-efficient 2/3s, and healing.
Yeah, you look at this list and you're like, oh yeah, charged mannequin. What?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you just
because your only way to make that power cell is backup charger.
Backup charger, but you're like always doing backup charger.
You're champion as Arasana Herbalist Prodigy.
Yeah.
You have 4 of Academy Guide just to go to level 1.
Yeah, this deck's really funny because the only reason it goes to Arasana is for the herbs. There's no Polaris.
Nope.
You're just doing the herbs because you can get benefit from all of them. If you get the draw card one, you can find something new. If you get the heal one, you can help heal through the fractal damage. If you get the level one, you can go to level 2 and fast activate a Blanche, which did happen on stream, and it was really funny.
Yeah. You're running Sweet Ambrosia.
The Regalia card from the Kong Ming deck that heals 3.
Okay. I have a whole rant on that card later. Yeah. We're going to... Please note, this is spoilers for the future. We are going to do the card rant episode where Jacob and I each bring 3 cards apiece that we are just going to talk about for 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
And I will... Yeah, any way we feel about that. Sweet Ambrosia is on that list for me.
Who gets Dream Fairy? Because I imagine Dream Fairy's on both lists.
You can have Dream Fairy because I'm taking Fracture Eyes. I should do all water cards. All of my do water.
We're possibly looking... I don't know what meta we're looking at. Because obviously, Water Fantasias is very popular here. But, like, I don't know if, like, people are going to come out and, like, make new counters to this deck. Because the counters to this deck are very much not in water. They're in wind. So fire is, yet again, sat on the sideline. Maybe.
Can I say, by the way, I would love to see this mirror.
Oh, yeah. A mirror of this deck just sounds miserable.
Oh, it sounds awful. You play you look at your opening hand because, you know, you don't get to mulligan this game and you're not running a spirit that allows you to, and you see 2 copies of Dawn of Ashes and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, this deck, this is the... If the EMPs list was the definition of a hater deck, this is the definition of, like, I want to counter everything, and I hate everything that is fun and enjoyable. But the problem it was super enjoyable to watch.
Oh yeah, because the reason it's so fun to watch is you watch the person playing against it just be like, what do I do?
Yeah, in that last match where they tied, I think the opponent missed like 4 Dawn of Ashes trigger just because I don't know if they've ever had to play against that card.
You're just like, that costs 1 more. They're like, right?
Yep, like the judge
that costs 1 more,
like,
right?
Yeah, yep. It's hard to play against. It makes you like have to think from a different perspective, and they're going to use that mental damage to their benefit to kill you.
Yeah. While you're focusing on making sure you have balance for Gildas, your opponent is making sure that they can cast their spells.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, Zhang Jiao is in here strictly to heal.
Yeah, Shang Jiao showing up again. Strictly a heal 4. You have Novice Healer, which is a heal 3 on a 2/2.
That is a, by the way, that is a $40 each, 160 total for a 3-cost 1/2 that recovers 4.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do in this economy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, just goddamn.
Yeah, no, this deck's sick. I love it.
Don, by the way, Henky, if you ever, if you're listening, someone get word to him.
Yeah.
This deck needs to be called Dawn in Taxes. Like, it absolutely does.
Yeah, let me look at what the Fractal of Insight name is.
It's just like it's called air like
Water Dawn of Ashes Arzana. I mean,
yeah.
that is an accurate description.
Yeah, sure, but like we call Fire Aggro Zander Fiza.
Yeah. I Dawn in Taxes is very funny. Yeah.
For those uninitiated, this is a reference to a Magic deck called Death and Taxes, where the point was you played several efficient dudes that made your opponent's spells more expensive.
Yeah.
You just disrupted them as you beat them to death with the tiniest of men.
Yeah. What do we got next? That's right.
Your baby, asterisk.
Fire Diao-chan. So we were kind of right. Fire Diao-chan is good. But the list that ended up doing well there was 2 variations that did well. One that's like Fiza, where it runs allies, like Ashwick Cremator, and I think one of them even had like Arthur lines.
Yeah, I think the list that I put in
is used the Flourish and Rebuke package as more of a help to the strategy. And the other list was Chess Club's list that sometimes goes to level 3 for just health, pretty much, and plays more like it plays more like Merlin before level 3, where like you have Creative Shock, Hasty Messenger, and you're kind of just pumping and dumping and using the Kindle stuff very efficiently, and using Floating Memory to go to higher levels and get card draw cards.
Turns out Kindle, good mechanic.
Yeah, Kindle's really good.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, Glowering Conflagration, very good card. Yeah, I mean, we talked about these last time, but Searing Rebuke, prevent the next 3 damage. Every time damage prevent this way, deal 3 to a champion. So sometimes deals 9 if you take 3 instances of damage.
This card also did climb in price because people were like, wait a minute, it's good.
Yeah, I think they stabilized a little. I think Flourish and Rebuke are both like around the $12 mark right now.
Yeah, they're around 12 now. But like, seeing as like people were like, oh, well, why would this card be good briefly? Yeah. And then...
So, yeah, I mean, it's fire aggro. Here's the list. It's pretty. I mean, this is basically just Fiza with some spell damage, which I think is a good evolution of the deck because it gives you multiple types of damage. So you're not just fully stop-gapped by 1 Safeguard Amulet or 1 Terrafring. So we see things like Arthur, Young Heir, Red Hair, Rococo, Zhao Guao. So it's kind of this Fiza ally package. But we also see the Flourish. We see the Cinder Geyser, the Cremator, the Ashwick Cremator, Vermilion Decree. Well, I guess Fiza plays Vermilion Decree, but Searing Rebuke. We're seeing this sort of package that we were considering for fire aggro, like a Spellslinger deck.
Jacob, are you shuffling cards?
I am. I got a little pile of cards in my hand. I've just been shuffling. I didn't know I picked that up. That's funny.
I could hear. I don't know if they can.
Maybe?
I heard just but
yeah, I got a pile
and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I know that noise.
I got a pile of bulk cards here. It's like Blitz Charger. Good old 3-cost 3/1 horse.
It's weird. I have some cards sleeved in front of me, and I'm seeing 2 copies of Deep Sea Fractal, 4 copies of Glimmering Refusal, 4 copies of Fractal Refreshment.
Yeah.
What's Shimmering Refraction do?
Yeah.
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 This list.
I mean, yeah, it's like a combination of Spellslinger and aggro, so it's interesting.
Yeah. The one you had proposed earlier was far more like heavy into Fantasias, like using the one that says every time your opponent levels, they take 2, allows both characters the ability to loot, but you're hoping to benefit more because you have stuff with Kindle.
we cut that card. That card's garbage.
Oh, is it? Did it turn out to be bad?
It turned out to be really. Giving your opponent a free hasty messenger, not good.
Yeah, this is true.
But Ravenous Fire was good. It's really so. I think the
Thoroughly?
Spellslinger aggro version is good in a different meta. It's good against slower decks like Arasana and Merlin because putting 2 to 3 Ravenous Powers out and saying take 4 to 6 every time you level up closes that gap enough, and they're just you just get under them and murder them.
Where have I heard take 4 to level up before?
Scepter of Lumina.
It's the no, that's the opposite.
Yeah,
I was thinking of Taser Shot.
Oh, Taser Shot. Yeah, it's just Taser Shot. Taser Shot's good. Taser Shot.
But this one you're like
that gives
sit there like
yeah, Taser Shot that loots is also pretty good.
Yeah.
Do we have
fire?
Yeah, do we have Chess Club's list on the slideshow? I forget.
No, I didn't add the other one.
Okay,
I can go back and do it right now.
That's fine. I'll just pull up Rex Kanan got 7th with Chess Club's list. Yeah, it omits the unique ally like Red Hair Arthur package for more of the Fantasia package. So they've got Fractal Sparks, Fractal of Insight, Explosive Fractal. They also play Novice Healer like Henki did. So their list is kind of the same idea where it's like be
fun
efficient,
bit, by the way.
Heal, kill.
You remember how we talked about Shimmering Refraction is like really good because it just has Fantasias?
Yeah.
You're running 4 copies of Maiden of Shimmering Air.
Yeah. It's honorable Vanguard.
Fantasia.
It's honorable Vanguard, but it's also a Fantasia.
God, killing someone because you get the extra point of damage from that is
and like
disrespectful.
Chess Club's list plays Fragmented Spirit of Fire to get that extra Spirit Shard Fantasia for the more damage. Yeah, they're cool lists. Fire Diatron's interesting. I think there's definitely a little bit more space to develop. I don't think all the lists we've showed today, I don't think any of them are solved. I don't think anything that we saw at this
meta is very new.
Is solved. Maybe the closest thing to being solved is Dawn of Ashes because it's pretty straightforward.
Play a 2/3 attack.
Yeah.
Play a 2/3 attack. By the way, all your cards cost 3 more.
Be a hater, profit.
Please do note Dawn of Ashes and Ju Chang are unique, so you can't have just like 4 of each. And you're like, haha, the game is over. You can no longer play cards. I've killed you with a 1/2.
Yeah. But I'm very excited to see these types of decks evolve over time, and see how the meta is going to answer the Fantasia Fractal Menace. Because here's the thing with the Fractal deck. You need to be running like a critical mass of Fantasia removal to really do enough of a dent to take them out of the game. If you just you have 1 Fantasia removal, it really doesn't affect them that much, because what's 5 Fractals versus 4 Fractals at the end of the day? When they're gonna burst asunder you for 1 million anyways.
It is interesting because that's something that exists in Magic because of how long it's been around versus doesn't exist yet in Grand Archive. Is there aren't typically repeatable ways to blow things up. Most of the effects like Excalibur, 1 time remove anything, but it is a once you play the Excalibur is gone. Or even stuff like the Unstable Fractal that some of the Fractal decks run is it sits there, you then pop it to blow something up, but then that thing is gone. In Magic, sometimes you have effects that repeatedly can destroy artifacts, enchantments, but that's not something we have in Grand Archive.
No.
So it's hard to go when you want to dedicate sideboard slots to going 1 for 1. That's much better against decks like Razor Gale, where they only have 4 copies of Razor Gale. You typically only need to deal with it once, maybe twice, versus a deck like Burst Asunder Fractals, where they're just going to keep making them, and eventually they're going to hit their magic number. And yeah, killing 1 or 2 of them slows them down, but they have 26 of them in their deck. They're gonna find more.
Yeah, they'll eventually find it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We're in a fun spot, a fun, legitimately spot for the game of people having to be like, all right, how do I plan to deal with this? Do I just run this many Fantasia hate cards? All right, well, what if I run to a deck that doesn't run any? Am I willing to just have 8 dead cards in my deck?
Yeah.
I imagine, Hank, yes, it was a meta call in regards to having Disenchant in your main board, But you definitely play against a deck that's like, well, I don't have those. And you look at the copies of Disenchant, and you're like, well, I know the first one that's coming out when I'm sideboarding.
Yeah.
Hope to win games 2 and 3. Got it.
Yeah. What we got next one? Oh, that's okay. Wow.
That's
Shorter
all I
one.
got.
We can talk about some more stuff though. I wanna. There's one deck I want to talk about definitely. Fire aggro Guo Jia.
Ooh, yes, Suzaku.
Yeah, Modest Mewtwo got 4th place with Fire aggro Guo Jia, and I like this deck a lot because it's like you look at the cards in the list and you're like, how did this work? It's a 61.
What you're talking.
Another 61 card main board. What's up now?
While you're talking about, I'm gonna pull the list up.
Oh yeah.
For
So it only goes to level 1 Guo Jia, and you're getting the Fabled Ruby Fate Stone that deals 1 damage to each champion at beginning of Recollection, and it gains quest counters by dealing non-combat damage from a fire element source. Oddly specific, but on purpose. You only need to get 7, and then it flips into a 4/3. I think there's like a few ways to abuse. Not really. That's kind of just an extra 4/3 that you get for free. Oh, sorry.
Hey, a 4/3 is pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, it's a free 4/3, right? One of my friends who played against this deck at Ascent described it as a deck that is profited for doing what it wants to do anyways. So, like, you're playing Vermilion Decree, you're playing Heated Vengeance, you're playing the 2 of the new Fate Stones from the Reco deck that deal damage on enter. You've got Rokokos, you've got a single copy of Demolition that just whacks something for 3.
Is he a 61 card main deck again?
Yes, he is. I have to wonder what the 61 card is because there's 5
the one
one-ofs.
Of Demolition.
There's 5 one-ofs. Blazing Throw's a one-of, Demolition's a one-of, Surging Bolt's a one-of, Reduced to Ash is a one-of, and Flamewing Foul, the common from A and B, is a one-of. Upon being asked if he would change anything after Ascent, he said, nah, it's fine. I'm pretty sure, if it was the person I think I saw. So sometimes, I guess, 61 cards just does it.
If you refresh it, the list is up.
Okay, we're back from, if I edited it right, we're back from cutting. Here's the list for Guo Jia Burn.
I hope you forget.
I hope I don't forget, because that was some, what we call PII in the industry, right behind the slideshow. I forget what, I should know what it stands for. It's like part of my job.
PII?
PII. It's like personal identity, I think it's personal identity information. Usually regards social security numbers that just had like my address. Yeah.
Well, I hope that wasn't on screen.
Well, yeah, we'll edit it. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, here's the Guo Jia Burn deck.
You'll notice the main deck is more squished because if I didn't fit it to the thing, it was too big.
Yeah, this deck's kind of wild. The numbers like are weird, but it works. It's
War of Arthur.
Yeah.
The 3 Broken Promises is one of those cards where I look at it like, is that actually good?
Yeah, Broken Promises, a 1-cost fast fire spell. As additional cost, sacrifice a Fate Stone or Fate Bound thing. Draw a card, give your champion a quest counter. This can be used in 2 ways. It can be used...
I just figured out one of them.
It could be used to sacrifice. You have 8 Fate Stones main deck that are just on enter, do damage. You can sack those to replace themselves, draw a card, gain a quest counter. Or you can sacrifice the flipped Phoenix, which will draw you a card. But also, when Phoenix goes to banish, which it's a Regalia, so it'll go to banish, you can banish 3 fire cards from your graveyard to bring it back transformed. So it's just a way to like re-attack with it. And sometimes that kills people. Yeah, this list is like funky and I love it. Because like, there's a lot of weird things that all just happen to work together. Like Arthur, we know is good. Arthur is really good with Dire Requiem. Dire Requiem is a new uncommon. That's a 2-cost, summons a Direwolf token, which is a 2/1 token that sacrifices itself at the end step. Class bonus for Tamer. You can banish a fire card from your graveyard and make another Direwolf. So for 2 cost, you get 4 damage temporarily for the turn. Arthur's effect is going to make those each 3 1s. So now it's 2 cost, deal 6, which is a very good rate.
Very good rate. other just like notable things is Baby Red. People, I think, are too hesitant to run slimes and not the slime deck. Baby
What do you
Red,
mean? That was Razor
so
Gale all
good.
last season.
Don't worry about that. No, shut up. That doesn't
Baby
count.
Gray died for
Baby,
the sins of Razor Gale.
well, no, Baby Gray was not an okay card. It's on the list. It's on the list.
I'm a Baby Gray
He's not
defender.
affiliated with me.
A Baby Gray defender to the day I die.
You shouldn't be. You will die. But no, but legitimately, Baby Red is a very good card.
Yeah.
Looting, very good turn on Kindle, very good turn on Suzaku. Like his second effect of when he dies, do the Phoenix thing and come back.
It's Hasty Messenger for Tamer.
Yeah, it's Hasty Messenger.
So Baby Red Slime, 2 cost 2/1. Tamer class bonus on attack. You can discard a card. If you do, draw a card into memory. If the card you discarded this way was fire, it becomes a 3/1 for the turn. Your entire deck is fire cards.
Yeah, looking at all the cards in here. Yeah, you're not discarding like floating memory in this deck because I literally don't think you run any.
Yeah, the only thing that costs you have three things that cost a memory cost in this material deck. You have level 1, Smoke Bombs, and Fated Keepsake. But Fated Keepsake and Smoke Bombs both draw you a card, so you're just staying neutral.
Yeah. Fated Keepsake.
It's
how often do you...
So Fated Keepsake, for its effect, you need to have 2 Fate Stones out. You're going to have 1 Fate Stone from your Guo Jia, getting Fable to Ruby Fate Stone. So you just need 1 of Fate Stone of Unrelenting or Lava Plume Fate Stone.
Wait.
And that'll turn on the effect, which is...
well, you need 3 or more. So you need
3 or more? Am I lying?
Yeah, it's 3. Yeah, it's 3.
It's 3. I'm lying. I'm sorry. I don't know Guo Jia cards that well, apparently.
Just the interesting part about it that I understand is he has that over Backup Charger.
He does, which is interesting now that I think about it.
That's like, maybe there is a reason. You said he wouldn't edit the list?
I think this deck's kind of just all in every turn. I don't think you're really holding stuff up.
I don't know. I feel like you've burned that sometimes you're like, you could play it at fast speed and then like plans change or something.
Sure.
Again, I don't know the list.
Yeah.
Maybe this is God's perfect list.
I am planning to play this list tomorrow. So we'll see. Maybe next time I'll give a little report on how it went. I expect to not do great because I'm going to be learning it while I play it. But I don't know. Maybe my random instincts will kick in and I'll just go 3-0. We'll see.
Shout out to all 3 baubles in the board.
Yeah, no, this sideboard is hilarious. To all 3 baubles, right. 2 more Blaze Bearers, 2 more Shatter of the Brittles, and 2 Flame Wreath Call.
Okay, Flame Wreath Call I do think is actually kind of a fucked up card. Like, you flip someone like Suzaku, who's like pretty easy to flip, and you just have 2 cost to kill 2 of your idiots at fast speed.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Flame Wreath Call. If you're flipping Suzaku, you're probably at the point that you're winning the game in the next turn.
Sure, but removing your opponent's either intercept or taunters.
It's 3. Yeah, I think the idea is if you have to kill intercept and taunters, Swift Recruits, Star Wars, that kind of thing.
Oh no, I had to remove the blocker. Take 4.
Yeah.
Take 4. Take 4.
It's for those kind of matchups. It's definitely not a main board call. I think if you were on like Fire Dragon, you could consider it, but Fire Dragon is definitely an archetype that is not solved. I don't think we didn't see any in day 2. I know that.
You know what might be like the way you build Fire Dragon? Fire Dragon Control.
I mean, yeah, that's what me and some people were thinking. It's just kind of you build it. I think I named the deck Fire Truck because it's just a value engine. Where you're just constantly cycling cards, and just kind of trying to keep tempo, and eventually you just kill them with the dragon. Can I
tell you a card I want to solve?
What?
Like I really do. I want to solve that domain that has Kindle 6.
Yeah, I think so. That is in the Fire Engine deck.
Oh, is it?
We're using Requiem and Direwolf Alpha.
Oh yeah, just draw those
and Cremation. We haven't tested the list at all, so take all this with a grain of salt. But it seems really funny.
Just like draw. Yeah. But it's like, what are you doing? Doesn't matter. None of my permanents are permanent.
Doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm drawing cards. That's all that matters. I mean, it does kind of work. So second to all's list. Let me look at what place he got. I think it was in the 40s. Yeah, so he got 43rd. If you're looking along on Fractal Insight. Water Seryu Guo Jia that goes to 3. And when I was talking with him about this list, you don't flip the dragon quickly. You're basically just using it as a pure value engine until you can flip it and kill them. Is
Oh yeah,
pretty much the whole plan.
honestly, Syracuse just passive effect is like
It's so good.
Like, rummage away this card I don't need. You rummage away this card I don't need.
Yeah.
Don't need this card. Don't need this card.
Playing the
Oh,
deck
by the way,
these
it's
past few
$20,
days
don't worry
has
about
been like sick. The amount of times that I've just been like, okay, I have 2 cards in hand, and one of them is like a Frostbind or a Primordial Ritual or a Carp Song Coda, and being able to just be like, oh, banish one of the things from my memory. Now I have 3 cards, and now I can respect their game plan and respond accordingly. It's so strong.
Yeah. Yeah, putting it in your hand, like effectively rebuying one of your resources.
Yeah.
I just realized, by the way, this deck only has 3 Suzaku's coming.
Yeah, because you really only need 1, right? Like I
Yeah,
said,
but-
I think you're playing the Fire Aggro Suzaku deck. It's just like the turn you flip Suzaku is the turn you're killing them, because you've used so many ways of damage to get there.
Thing is like, yes, the turn you're flipping is the turn you're killing them, but also like, yeah, I would imagine you play 2 and 12.
That would be really funny.
Like, yes, you're right. Counterpoint, super murder.
8 is probably enough, but I
Well,
respect
this
the
is-
hustle.
Yeah, well, come on, the hustle's hilarious.
Yeah. Also, good to note here, Heated Vengeance does get turned on by the Fabled Ruby Fatestone, pinging each player for 1. So you don't even need Impact Hammer. Sometimes you just say, take 5.
Which one, Fabled Ruby?
The Suzaku
Oh,
stone.
yeah.
It deals 1 damage to each player, so it turns on Heated Vengeance. Heated Vengeance being a 2 damage attack that gains +3 if you've taken damage this turn. And
Yeah.
normally
Yeah, you're right.
people do this with Impact Hammer. On attack, Impact Hammer deals 3 to you. And Impact Hammer is 2 damage, so you deal 7 with Heated Vengeance and 3 to yourself. But you don't even need
Doesn't
to.
make sense to me. Why does Suzaku's command says target beast ally next attack this turn gets unblockable and gets +2 attack?
Yeah.
Good. If that ally is a Shenju, that attack gets an additional +2 and gains combat damage dealt by this attack is unpreventable. Very good at just finishing off your opponent. You pretty much say, there's nothing you can really do to stop this. I'm going to hit you. The part I have, the part I take umbrage with is Saryu's command doesn't say next attack.
Saryu's command does.
Why does it say command say next attack?
Saryu's command does. Let me grab Saryu here. Let me go off away from my mic for a second.
Alright,
I picked up my Saryu's commands. I got some in the mail the other day. Saryu's command is a 2-cost arcane fast tamer skill. As long as you have an arcane element Shenju, ignore the elemental requirements as you activate it. So if you have Saryu out, doesn't matter what element you are, you can play this arcane card. Until end of turn, whenever a target beast attacks, trigger all of its on-attack abilities twice. So if you're playing, let's say, Wind Dragon, and you use Byaku's command, which untaps a Shenju, you can get Saryu's commands triggers multiple times in a turn.
So another thing that you said that wait, until whenever target beast attacks, trigger all of its on attack abilities twice. Is it 2 additional times?
2 additional times. You'll get 3.
Yes. Yeah, that was to say. I just want to make sure that people understand. It's 2 additional triggers.
Yeah.
So the bit is you attack with Saryu. You're like, oh, I'll conjure an Arcane Blast. I'll empower for 6.
Yeah.
I will then, Arcane Blast you for like 2. I will then move to second combat because of Byaku's command. I'll attack you with Saryu. Second verse. Oddly similar to the first one.
Yeah, it gets even better. The really, I think it's 40 damage, if I remember right, is Harness Lightning, Saryu's command, and Byaku's command. So let's say you have the dragon out. You play Saryu's command prereq because it's fast. And then during your main phase, you play Harness Lightning, which is 1 cost.
It's fast?
Yeah, Saryu's command's fast. All the commands are fast.
Why?
I don't know. You play Harness Lightning, main phase, which gives target ally +4 attack, and it banishes itself. And it's an arcane card with a similar line of text. You could ignore the elemental restrictions if you have a Shenju out. Arcane Shenju out. So now you have an 8/12 dragon, and you have at least 1 arcane card in banishment because it banishes itself. You attack, and in response to the attack trigger, You play Byaku's command because that's fast, and it wakes it up and gives it a buff counter. So it's swinging for 9. You generate an Arcane Blast. You empower 4 twice. So you empower 8. You are level 3, presumably. So Arcane Blast is free. So you 11 them. You've dealt 20 damage. Now that your dragon's awake, you do it again for 20 more damage.
Hey, hi, the hell.
Yeah, obviously susceptible to interaction.
It's there in fumes.
Yeah, ensnaring fumes just like makes you cry a little bit, but that's a problem for future us. To hope we don't get paired into assassin.
Assassin.
Yeah.
Weirdly, the control of this game.
Yeah.
You'd really think it'd be like major cleric.
Incapacitate, ensnaring fumes, God. Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna play it yet. This next weekend, or I guess this video. I don't know when this video is gonna go up. Probably this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Yeti.
When did the last one go up? Friday or?
I don't even remember. I think it was Saturday. I'll be out of town this weekend though, so I'll probably need to edit this like tonight or tomorrow.
Can't be that bad. You only had specific things you wanted to do.
So true. Yeah, I don't know what to play. I'm leaning between Wind Dragon, just OTK combo. They either have it or they don't. or like this fire Guo Jia aggro deck. I like Tamer a lot, if you can't tell.
I have my own list that I kind of brewed that I do need to make one alter to, which was it was very similar to the Fractal package of like I'm going to Shimmering Refraction, I'm going to Burst Asunder, but I wanted to play it with Assassin because I think the idea of going Materialized Spirit, cool, like play some Fractals. Then my first materialization is Poison Dagger. Play another Fractal or 2, look at my opponent, be like, okay, go. Alright, go to my turn. I'm gonna go to Tristan level 1. Activate this deck. Burst Asunder. Sack 4 Fractals. Take 15.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 damage each.
It's 2 damage each instance.
Oh, you're still alive, damn. It's crazy. Shimmering Refraction.
Yeah, well, you need a Shimmering first, because you're going to get rid of all your Fractals.
Yeah, I would use Shimmering first,
yeah.
but still.
But yeah, you get the point.
You get the point. The one addendum I do have to make is the original Helm was Tristan, because I wanted the versatility of either get a prep for like making the Mercenary Blade, which is 2 extra damage in that case. But I think I have to make it Zander, because I'm not allowed to play Tristan. She's a girl.
Yeah, Mr. Allmente. Hey, we can talk about this real quick as the last thing. They gave us some DTR spoilers. I already forget what it's called. Distorted Reality, I think is what the set's called.
Yeah, I have it up right here.
Yeah.
Distorted Reflections.
Apologies. That's gonna be the next set in July. Which means Ascent Boston in August is going to be the first Ascent with a new set. I will definitely be there. I'll try and.
You know what? I will.
Yeah, you should come.
You should come together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna fly. It's like an hour.
Fly, really?
It's like an hour flight, and it's like a 12-hour drive.
Yeah, but how? It's a what drive?
It's like a 10-12-hour drive to Boston.
Is it?
Yeah, Boston. So like, I think in my brain, I always think Massachusetts is like next to Pennsylvania. No, it's like above New York.
U.S.
U.S. map.
U.S. map.
God, I love that we're trying to get rid of the Department of Education. It's gonna make things great, right?
Look, man, I've never been good at geometry. I played math. I do play math games in my.
Yeah.
Massachusetts. That is way further than
Massachusetts is like above the city of New York. Yeah, it's pretty far, but it's like an hour flight, so we're probably just gonna fly. You could always drive up here and fly with us if you want to fly to Dulles.
Yeah, I could do that.
But yeah, we're probably gonna be at Ascent Boston. I know I'm definitely gonna be there. And it's gonna be very interesting with these new cards because the new champions are Astra Ranger Diana. She makes her return.
She's back!
And
this time with bows!
Yes, it's bows. Hopefully it's like shooting cosmic bolts. That would be really funny.
I think it would be so awesome if when she hit, she generated a cosmic bolt to the top of your deck.
Yeah, that would be interesting. We'll see.
That way, if you have any glimpse.
Yeah, Astra is definitely a very open space, and Ranger is definitely an open space, and hopefully they don't just do distant again.
You gotta get your hands on the... You gotta get 4 of that creature that ally that turns into an arrow.
I forgot about
It's
that.
its time, Jacob.
The Serpentine arrow, whatever it's called. It's an
Yeah,
uncommon.
whatever. Who cares what it's called?
It's an uncommon for AP, yeah. And the other one is Umbra Guardian. And it's a man. It's Seal. So we know Noah's next champion when new set comes out.
Umbra!
Yeah.
It's a dude! I can finally play Umbra!
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting because outside of like 3 Tristan cards, Umbra is pretty bad.
Okay, so, yeah.
Yeah. Curses.
I love to defend it.
Curses is bad in a competitive sense. It's fun for locals. It's not, but it's not winning. It's not top 18 in Ascent. You're not winning a spirit anytime soon. Maybe if this was ALC meta where people were just blitzing to gun with Diana, but nowadays, no, it's not happening.
Fact, it is physically possible to have 4 curses on you, all of which have a different super type.
Yeah. So I really
you can
hope
have ally, attack, action, and Fantasia.
I really hope we get something different with Umbra. I think I talked to Noah about this like a while back. I think reanimation would be interesting, but I'm not holding my breath because I think reanimation would either be really bad or really busted, and I don't know if they'll find a middle ground.
They have made regalias to help stymie that. They've made one that says, "Hey, all things in your graveyard lose abilities."
Yeah, but if it's just
Hey,
like
they have
return an
Nullify
ally,
in there.
if you have it's like a spell or something like an Umbra spell, it's like return an ally from your graveyard to the field. Censor and Lantern aren't gonna do anything about that.
No, but
it's
that
still
would
an
require
ally.
people to play actual graveyard hate, which really doesn't happen.
Yeah, most of the graveyard hate up to this point's just been like generic, like either I'm getting rid of things in your graveyard without really caring what they are, besides floating memory, of course, or I'm removing lines of text from cards in your graveyard.
Yes.
So I don't know.
But
That'd
either
be
way,
interesting. Also,
they look.
Guardian. Oh yeah.
Yeah. A Guardian. You're right. Guardian. The set specifically is going to have more support for Guardian Ranger,
Which is good
which
because
previously have been 2 subclasses that don't receive a lot of
they're
love.
probably the worst 2 classes in the game.
Guardian, I would say, is probably overall the worst now that it has lost to Icebound Slam, which was a card designed for them.
Yeah, the problem was decks were using it too efficiently that
People
weren't
looked
to
and saw
Guardian.
7 card. Yeah, they really were like, yeah, it's a 7-cost card. Who's gonna play it? And everyone was like, oh boy, 7-cost card.
Yeah, Guardian, I think,
and
has
Ranger...
a problem of they didn't know what they wanted to do with it, especially Neos. They don't know what they want to do in Neos.
Yeah, all of its archetypes. Actually, you know what? No, Neos has an identity. Tony doesn't.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I hope the set after JTR, we're already having Copium and Hopium for the set after. We get Neos, and we have a recollection deck for Neos that gives it an actual game plan rather than just, I guess you can do token stuff. I guess you wait till you're level 3 to start playing the game.
If you gave me a level 2 Tony that on enter makes 2 automatons, I'm golden. I'm there.
Yeah.
I can start winning games instead of being like, my next attack that I'm not going to do is 3 extra power.
Yeah, but back to DTR. Umbra Guardian and Asher Ranger are going to be very interesting. I hope they do them justice. The set's like a fairy tale themed set, so that's kind of cool.
Well, it's based around Alice in Wonderland and Into the Looking Glass, those stories. Because that's Grand Archive is all about stories. 3 visits. The Tale of 3 Kingdoms was a story.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not doing something like ALC again, where it's like weird steampunk magic that didn't exactly have a good rooted lore.
Yeah, I think that was more of we're a new game, we wanted to do this design space, and it was a cool design space, but they didn't have the necessary, like, story building. You knew there was this cyborg that was, automation was becoming realized, and that was a problem. Like, there was a story which was very thinly, like, drawn out.
Yeah.
I would love for them to revisit it and, like, retcon, hey, this is what happened.
I would love, I mean, they hired a person to handle lore after ALC was done. And I know she's very much focusing on the new stuff. Like, I think she tweeted on Twitter that, like, she was, like, the driving force, like, behind designing Seal. Like, she was given full reins on designing him and the lore around him. And she did great work with AMD.
Wasn't this the name of a character in some... Chill?
I don't know. Umbra Guardian, man. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with Umbra, what they do with Guardian. And, yeah, if you didn't buy your Carters already, I'm sorry to tell you that ship has sailed. They're like $60 a piece because people think it could be good because it's got a Guardian type on it. I mean, Carter is good. Carter's good, but I don't know about $60 good.
No, not $6.
But
By the way, we will talk more about Sword Reflections when we hear more about it.
Yep.
And also, in the future, because, yes, rant episode incoming. But also, we might start having just actual recordings of us
yes,
playing matches.
yes.
I've made space for it. It's time.
I think I have almost every single card I need from HVN to build the decks I want to build on demand.
I don't, and I will proxy them.
Yeah. I think the only things I'm missing at this point are Zhushangs, and I have one lined up with a friend. I just need to get my hands on one more.
Yeah.
But I have the things I need for all of my Guo Jia dreams. So we'll see how those go. I'm interested to explore Byaku.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, but we'll probably have like a mix of like actual like competitive decks and goofy decks.
Yeah, every so often we'll have a meme versus meme deck.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to get like some of our friends to record with us as well, because a lot of them have various play styles. We got a friend who's a Rai player. I've got a friend who lives and dies by the assassin archetype.
And if we can get Jimmy Lee on the horn,
that would be fun.
Jin all over us.
At some point, maybe we get Ein.
That'd be lovely.
Mr. Number One Judge in the world,
Which you didn't believe,
Mr. John Grand Archive.
Yeah.
I don't think I've told any of my locals that this channel exists yet. I'm kind of waiting to see if any of them like find it naturally, but I don't think many of them interact.
Has anyone watched the first episode?
Yeah, let me go check. I think we had like 5 views.
You know, that's more than I thought we would get.
A solid 2 of those were me like checking on it with my other account to make sure everything looks good. Let's see, Dusklight Communion. 26 views.
Oh wait! People watch this?
Yo, we got 2.
Wait, people watch this?
Are you subscribed through your YouTube channel?
No.
Okay, so we have a real subscriber then, because I'm subscribed through my personal channel. We got 2 subscribers, one of which is another person. So whoever you are, if you subscribed, and like you were the other, if you were the other person who subscribed, when there was like only 1 subscriber, know that person was me, and you're like the actual first true subscriber. So wear that with a medal of honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of subscriptions, if you enjoy, subscribe. Because statistics show if you mention it, you'll at least get someone to think about it.
Yeah.
If any,
you gotta hit the real YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey guys, like, comment, and subscribe. God, no, you know what? It makes me feel too bad. I can't do it.
Yeah. Comment if there's leave comments if there's any decks that you want to see us play.
If you have recommendations, I will whip for meme week. I will bring out bird songs.
Yeah. Give us meme decks. Give us your meme decks. If you can list links to like shout out your decks, or Sylvie, where you've like built the deck, that works pretty better. But yeah, I would definitely love to just play like viewer submitted decks, and just see what you guys come up with.
Oh yeah,
because that would be really funny.
it'd be wonderful.
It'd be really funny.
We put them all on a roulette wheel and we have to spin.
My god, it'd be really funny. Like, we don't even know what we're playing before we record. We just spin the wheel when we start recording.
We spin it, we leave for like an hour, and then we come back with like, all right, this is the list. Or like we do that for tabletop.
If we get enough suggestions, I'll buy a spinny wheel, or like 3D print one or something.
And 3D printed a spinny wheel.
And spin it on camera. I'll do it. That'd be funny.
Oh god.
All right. Well, with that,
I like this is a shorter one. Still an hour and a half.
Still an hour and a half. Well, it'll probably be trimmed by like 10 minutes based off just us getting stuff set up. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Next episode maybe could be our grievances one. Or maybe it could be Yeti results or developing meta. I don't know. We'll see.
Please note, grievances is just like us being like, but come on, why?
Oh,
we still don't. Not angry. We just it's a funny little rant episode.
Yeah. I think at least half the cards I talk about will already be in the ban list in terms of like category 1, category 2.
Can I ask one request of you, Jacob, that if we do that episode, for them to know that that's what the episode is please title it Dusklight Communion episode 3, and then Noah rants about Fractalize for X minutes. Like, wherever X is the actual time that I talk about
we
it
could go.
for.
Yeah, well, if no one stops us, we could go on Fractalize for a bit. But that's
I
for
think just Noah talks about Fractalize for 17 minutes.
actually. Let's do that as episode 3. If nothing else large pops up, we'll do that for episode 3.
Yeah, it'd be such a good bit.
It would be such a good bit. I do want to shout out before we go. I want to shout out one YouTube channel I saw. There's a judge who made they're like short 5-10 minute videos. I think it's, oh god, I'm gonna feel bad not knowing it. Grand Archive Judge Rulings. But it's a channel dedicated to like weird niche rules interactions. It's Grand Archive Classroom.
Those are always fun.
Well, I should remember because I'll see myself talk about this when I edit the video. I'll link them in the description.
Yes.
They are very good for weird niche interactions. And they are Silidar approved. He shouted them out being like, yes, these are correct.
That's the greatest compliment you can get. The person that helps make the game be like, oh yeah, he's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you ever have weird niche questions about Grand Archive rulings, go check this channel first because chances are they might just have it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could always leave us comments because we are both judges.
Yes, it's illegally.
I can answer.
No, not legally.
I can answer most questions.
I can do.
Don't ask.
Or at least give you a funny response to it.
If you ask me about
like
bullets in Fractalize, I'll have a little bit of an aneurysm, but I will answer it.
Yeah, we will answer it. He'll have an aneurysm. I'll sigh and look down.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've stalled for long enough.
We gotta get better at ending these things.
Yeah. Okay. That's the episode. Ascent Seattle was sick. I love the meta. I hope it doesn't stay this meta. I hope it evolves as I expect it to. Yeah, that's why I love this game. It's always a changing meta. It's interesting.
Good game. It's fun to play.
Love this game.
See you in the next one.
Yep, that, why am I forgetting the word? I made the same mistake last episode. Commences. What's the opposite of commences? Concludes.
Concludes.
Oh.
God.
English is my first and only language, but I majored in the sciences. I could not be faulted for not knowing the English language. This concludes the Dusklight Communion. Thank you for watching/listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Keep brewing.
Bye-bye.